I'm here, Mario's here, Kathy's here, Casey's here, Donna's here, Doug's here, Pat and Robin are on Zoom, Sue F is here, Ellen's here, Mike Z is here, John Jenny's here, Dean, and Dean brought his bodyguard Nick. Okay, the agenda. I gave you, because I just got it yesterday, the AIA document for payment, and then we have an addendum to that too. So I just want to let you know. So I'll give the addendum out right after we start the meeting. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda with the additional AIA document?
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
Second case.
And that will go under 8 because it's a payment?
It'll go under C, application. There'll be 2 applications there.
Okay, so that'll be D and then
Right,
discussion will be E.
correct.
Okay.
Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, okay. Minutes?
Ed, I have a correction.
Okay.
Self-correcting.
Here.
In reviewing the minutes, it seems the secretary escalated our expenditures to the billions.
Oh.
And so item 7 should be 177
Right.
million,
Oh, wow.
791.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Yeah, power of punctuation.
Yes. Got a motion to approve the minutes with that change?
I'll make that motion with that change. Second.
Second, Kathy. Any discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed, okay. Okay, Mike, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. A few updates I'd like to present tonight regarding some various major topics related to the athletic field construction, landscaping, HVAC, building commissioning, high school gym floor, and roofing. Regarding roofing, during the last building committee meeting, I had advised that we were in the midst of roof repairs over the April holiday break. Originally we had thought these repairs would extend beyond April break and into the summer, but further investigation beneath the membrane limited the overall repair work. And got the blessing by the manufacturer GAF. The repairs were completed on that Saturday of April break, and we are awaiting the final manufacturer's warranty from GAF. I should expect that hopefully by next week. To switch gears to landscaping, we had
Can I ask a question on
yeah.
that? They came out visually inspected?
They did. Yep.
I do have a couple questions up there yesterday, I was up there today.
Okay.
The walking strips,
The walk pads, yeah.
walk pads, I noticed underneath a couple of them, it seemed like there was water trapped underneath them.
Water or air?
One or the other, but it kind of felt like a water bed. When I was walking on it back and forth in some area spots, is that something that is typical?
I've noticed that throughout a lot of the walk pads, but to me, it's never been a water issue. I think I'd be able to feel that, or at least it would have been picked up by the manufacturer in some of the thermal scans that we had done. So we had done a thermal scan back, I think in the summer of last year, to show areas where moisture was intruding through the roof system. And none of those walk pad areas had come up on it,
Okay.
which makes me think it's air and just adhesion of the membrane, because it isn't fully adhered.
Could be water between the pad and the roofing membrane, but it's not likely.
But then I did notice it under just the white part too, that was not the walking pad close to it. Again,
Sometimes it's deceiving because we bought a non-fully adhered roof, so there are ripples.
didn't feel that
Yeah.
airspace. Just speaking on one other thing with the roof, we did notice that the entrances to the chiller filters are you can't open the door completely because of the guardrails that were installed up there.
Yeah, handrail.
Handrails in there.
It was with the VFD?
I believe, yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so. So you can't get the door to get to it, and it's a rail that obviously goes into the roof
right.
right there. So,
We had reworked, I don't know if you saw some of those handrails up there, it's just a regular handrail, then it kind of offsets it down and over to kind of alleviate some of those issues. We had repaired one prior to, but there must be another one like you're saying, so it's,
okay.
we'll have to look at
Which
it.
one you come to?
I'm gonna be honest with you, the trailer guy was up there and he sent me pictures of, it, and he said,
That wasn't the punch list, I thought it had been correct.
yeah, well, he could see the doors and open all the way. So I didn't know if that had to do with, if you're gonna do something with the roof on that, or if you can cut it lower.
I think the door, well, I don't wanna speak out of turn.
Door might come off, you're saying, instead of swing open?
That's what I recall.
This
Well,
was,
you can check the
this
punch
was, this
list.
was the train, rep up there, so.
You can check.
Take a look at it.
While we're on the roof, what about the cleanup of it?
Mario is referencing to the roof drains up on the roof throughout construction. A lot of debris is, clogged some of the roof drains. There's a lot of active overflow roof drains that are washing out things that wouldn't have been washed out if the drains, the primary drains were clean. It's on our list. When we get the manufacturer's warranty, we'll have SLAM issue us a certificate like we have previously in the building or other exterior things, and we, hold a value to that to clean them. I don't have an ETA on when we're gonna clean them,
So
but
it's a punch list.
it's a punch list item. You good with the roof, Dean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Switching gears to landscaping, we had met with SLAM earlier this month to discuss the overall state of landscaping. As you're all aware, since last meeting, no lawns or plantings have been accepted by SLAM in any area to date. In the meeting held earlier this month, just helped to hash out items of deficiency and ultimately what the lawn and plantings need to get to that next acceptance stage. O&G had reviewed this with CJ Fucci and in conjunction with TC Landscaping earlier this week after we got to receive the report. And they have been on site the last few days performing various activities. Installing weed filter fabric where it was originally missed, weeding, remulching of all of the beds and edging of the beds in accordance with the specifications, mowing on a more consistent schedule. They had previously slice seeded a couple different areas. The Javelin Court comes to mind. Also in front of the middle school, they had slice seeded back in late April and early May. And big picture here, the hydro seeder is coming back, I think later this week, potentially Friday or maybe next week to spray the athletic field areas that have now been spread with topsoil, but also touch up the remaining areas that are also not, sprouting. It doesn't meet SLAM's threshold of growth for a lawn within a certain area. We're intending to have SLAM come back out in the next few weeks to review the progress and the work that TC Landscaping has, put in and, since the last meeting earlier this month that we have with SLAM, just to evaluate, conditions of the plantings and germination of the lawns after they've been reseeded.
I got a question on the grass area where the sign is, the electric sign is coming.
Yeah, in front,
Yeah, that soil under there is very rocky.
Okay.
So the grass looks like it's
I noticed
tundra.
that today.
It looks like the tundra and not a green, nice green.
Yeah,
On our landscaping report, there were areas that were referenced that have, a rocky,
Yeah,
soil.
you can see the rocks, they're like this big.
Yeah,
We're working on respreading topsoil and I'm gonna have to reseed it.
Yeah, okay.
So they'll be removing the rocks when you say this?
Are they gonna cover?
We're gonna have to rock hound it and then dress it up with topsoil probably, it's slightly the only way, I think.
And you mentioned that a more consistent basis as of today, you're saying? Because there hasn't been a consistent basis up until today.
Yeah, I think the first mow had happened for the season, I think it was last week.
Probably the week before, so
Yeah,
I know that some of the emails back and forth, we really didn't get a time frame on it. Is it gonna be weekly, bi-weekly?
I think the rule of thumb that we had said was, no more than 2 weeks. On day 15,
Right.
if you don't have anybody there mowing,
No, I got
you're
you.
gonna do it for us and.
But rule of thumb, depending on how wet it is out there, it might.
Yeah, I think seasonal wise too, obviously now there's gonna be more mowing than in June and July, there's not gonna be very
Yeah.
much.
Does this include, when you say that, paying attention and cleaning the islands, in that area, because the islands have not been, unless they did it today,
Mowing of the
they're
islands?
kind of running wild.
It should be all in one mowing operation, but
Yeah, to Dee's point, like the islands right in front of the gym auditorium entrance, it looked like the Everglades.
Yeah, and that area, so in that landscaping report initially, it was, disseminated to us with a couple different drawings and markups where they had wanted to change some of the seed types that we originally had put in. And then they backed that out of the report and we're gonna send us a different way to, disseminate that as the proposal request. So we are looking at different seeds, but to your point, this is about one.
It's just I'm talking about the maintenance of it now, not really the kind of grass it's supposed to grow or whatever,
Yeah,
but just the general look of the complex, especially around all the islands, even in the lower lot. I'm not sure what is a plant and what is weed at this point. A lot, there's a lot of clover and we're gonna have to deal with that.
so,
I mean, because of the pesticides we can't use, right, and things of that nature. I mean, this is what we bought,
You can't see grass, it's all clover.
so.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
The clover looks better cut than it does grown, so closer we keep it to the ground.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll look at the lawn of the island, but I still gotta confirm the regular lawn seed.
Mike, what about up on the back side of the building? We got a lot of washout. I'm sure what's your time frame over there? We have, that little asphalt walkway that we have going up
Going up the
back.
football field?
Yeah. and to
That
the-
all's gotta get resprayed
to the left of it, we have, tremendous washout and
towards like the Route 8
yeah, towards
drop
Route 8.
off, yeah.
Summertime, is that summertime thing we're talking?
Sooner rather, the hydro seeder is coming later this week, next week, you can hopefully, start to spray areas again, hopefully get more established. I think they sprayed it late last season and it didn't get a chance to grow, obviously.
Okay, and they fill before they hydroseed, obviously, right?
Yeah, right, if it's rocky, we're gonna rock out there.
And what about that fence that's going across there? What's that scheduled? When's that scheduled?
The 10-foot,
I think
it's-
so. Then we
yeah,
put a gate in.
on the radar. I reviewed it with them,
Yeah.
reviewed it with Fucci when I was walking with the landscaper and then
Yeah.
on Monday, and it is on the radar. They're focused on trying to get, backstops and stuff
Yeah.
included in the field and stuff, but it's on the list.
There's a lot of washout.
That's what I'm talking about.
Regarding the HVAC
Oh.
and building commission, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
Good
ahead.
question. And I don't know this, and I could have checked the plans, but I didn't. Is there a gate going from Hogan? Is that Hogan?
Daily.
Daily.
Hogan's
Hogan's School.
Hogan's
Hogan's School.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Newey School.
Newey School.
You
Daily,
losing it, Dean?
huh?
You losing it?
A little bit.
Yeah,
Daily
there's a
going
gate.
into the concrete, the
Yes.
heavy traffic-ready concrete slab. that's it.
Is a
We
gate.
bought gates. There
There's
was
a
supposed to be, in the field change, there were removable bollards, but when we were going through the pricing
Put the
change,
gates.
Perfect.
we wanted to we added
Okay.
gates. Permanently, yes. I've not been in yet, but yes. Going to the HVAC and the building commissioning, to be totally, transparent with everybody and with the hot humid air that was present last week and earlier this week, issues related to space conditions and, odors have represented themselves. Have been causing some serious problems to the occupants of the building. I don't wanna necessarily get into the fine details of it, but, there's a lot of technical terms that are being thrown around and, I don't know if that necessarily would benefit this group. But I'm gonna try to divulge as much as I can, related to the humidity and the temperatures. I think roughly, generally the root cause of a lot of these issues has to do with the chiller systems and the chillers, tripping off a low flow and having all these various alarms. Some are related to leaks that, we're chasing and we're trying to repair. Additionally, throughout MJ Daly's investigations with Train, they've, observed the arrestor screens and the fresh air intake hoods were being restricted, due to heavy debris being built up in them. The worst one that they had found is in one of the more prevalent complaints, which was, DOA 6, which serves area F, the middle school, the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor. And being just very unbearable and uncomfortable, from a space conditions standpoint. A similar issue was occurring up at DOA 3 with the conditions of those, arrestor screens, and again, that area that serves the central office that was having another, high humidity temperature complaint this week. So we've been focused on trying to get those, screens clean, not just on DOA 6 and DOA 3, but all of them. There's a general feeling from MJ Daly in a service report that I had read today that, in their conversations with Train, that the type of arrestor that's being used, the screen on the intake hood is not correct and it's wrong for the application, in the climate of this area. So we're trying to review it, further with Train and maybe look at something different, a 1/4 inch, chicken screen,
something that allows, more air to flow through it and not be so restricted with debris being held up. Looking to also loop SLAM and CES in on that conversation as well, once we figure out a little bit more information. This is all kind of unfolding with no, smoking gun, I can, tell you today, but we're trying to put in the effort, trying to, make these conditions more livable. There are obviously other outlier rooms and areas where, investigations are continuing to be flushed out. A room's got a bad transformer in the BMS box, it's got a bad, thermostat. Those have impacts, in addition to what's going on with the chillers, that we're also looking into. It's just a good reminder to everybody, it's hard to believe it's been 15 months since, that high school got occupied and the middle school got occupied last August. These systems have been running for a long time. Failures happen with thermostats, transformers, and really just wanted to put that into perspective. But, I can assure you that, ONG, MJ Daily, ABS from a controls perspective, the manufacturer train, SLAM, CES, IES, BL companies, John over here, we've spent a lot of time and continuing to spend that time to get to the root cause of all these issues. But the investigation takes time, and I really don't want you guys to feel like you're being kicked to the side of the road, but we got to see this process through, and that's part of this communication effort. Regarding odors in the building, there's a few ideas that we've been kicking around with the designers that on what could be causing them. Some of it's got to do with those arrestor screens, but I think a large majority of it, and from the latest correspondence that we've been working with CES is maintenance of the CDQ wheels, they call it, or the enthalpy wheels, or the big red wheels inside the DOA units. Could be a big contributing factor to that. There's each of those wheels, there's one in each DOA unit. You got 3 DOAs up on each roof, high school roof and the middle school roof. So there's only 6 of them that are serving, fresh air into the spaces. And maintenance of those wheels is a process that's listed in Train's literature, and we're also looking to see if we can try to tackle that next week if it works with the schedule. We have to talk to UND. Each unit is actually supposed to take 2 men for 1 day to clean just one unit. So we're talking about 5-6 days of trying to get up there to clean.
How often are they supposed to clean?
I didn't read too much into the literature. I would think before cooling season, every cooling season.
So once a year?
Because really, yeah, I would say once a year. Something too that we had looked at with CES was that in the winter you probably weren't noticing the odors as much, probably a little bit, but there's low humidity, obviously, as we all know, in the winter. So the wheel's really not working or doing anything that would cause the odor. And as we got into spring here and we needed cooling, it's no surprise now that the odors are popping up. And I think that's a valid point that CES had brought up, and happy that they had shared. We just got to keep working through it.
Because it definitely has like a mustiness.
Yeah, and I think it's just debris getting caught in that wheel, and there's little slits in that wheel. It takes time. You got to brush it out. There's a in-depth process, and it does take time. From a commissioning standpoint overall, we are looking to have a meeting scheduled in the next couple of weeks to talk about the overall state of commissioning and where we're at. MJ Daly's presence has been, felt there, obviously over the last month since, we received the latest commissioning progress report. There's a lot of items on that report that they're continuing to address, other memos that have been, disseminated from, IES, the commissioning agent, things and anomalies that they're aware of, and, we're working on doing that as well.
We're having a meeting in 2 weeks with everybody, CES, SLAM, IES, MJ Daly, and ONG, and John, to get this thing done.
Well, I feel like, as of yesterday, MJ Daly sent out a person, Henry Haas, and I met the service manager, Joe Pesci.
Really? Joe Pesci,
Is that true?
It's a real name,
Yeah.
He spells it French though, it's P-E-C-S-C-E. And Henry Hill was out there too. Henry Haas was very good, so I feel like, and I really believe this is what we need. We need one person, and this kid is very, very good. I've known him for 2 days so far, and he's impressed the hell out of me. I've been up and down the ladder with him. We've been out, we talked about the systems, we talked about the equipment, and I feel like this one person should be involved in anything that we do. He just started with MJ Daly, but he so far has unveiled many things that we didn't even know about. within 2 days. So I feel much better with him there, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Did you get his phone number?
I have his phone number, I have his email, I have everything, you know, again,
I wanna obviously invite you to that commissioning meeting in 2 weeks too, and also make sure that Henry is there too, cause it's.
and I asked him today, and I don't know if he sent that report to you, I haven't been in the office this afternoon, but I'd like to be CC'd on any of those reports coming
Yeah.
back and forth with him.
Yeah.
Um,
I have.
because we are chasing these things every day.
Yeah.
We're chasing them, meaning Nick and the crew, chasing here, we're on the computer, we're trying to do this and trying to do that. But a lot of it is out of our control at this point. It's out of our control. I think a lot has to do with the design, to be honest with you. And that's gotta be fine tuned, tweaked or changed or whatever it is, but, anyway. And that's enough, but, okay, I won't get into detail.
Why don't you have him come to the meeting?
Yeah, I'm gonna invite him.
I have a question.
Yep.
Just, you mentioned that, I don't know if it was a filter or a screen, you said that there was one that wasn't geared to this climate necessarily. Did we get a default one, or that's not geared to the northeast?
No, it's
or-
the specified one that we're supposed to put in through train, it's just they think that there's just the air, like, they wanted to switch to a 1/4-inch bird screen that had a little bit more openings in it, so debris, when it get caught in there, it wasn't
So this is on the exhaust, right?
Okay.
intake.
On the, it's the moisture.
Okay, on the intake, there are the screens that he cleaned today.
Yes.
That those were never cleaned during normal maintenance, and they should have been cleaned.
Right.
On the exhaust end, there's also a problem. There's a heavy, it almost looks like the, when you put over fencing,
Like the slab.
the vision guard that you go over fencing, so you don't see it, almost looks like that.
Like a nylon
It's like a
screen.
nylon mesh that's on there that the amount of air blowing out of this thing, the thing is, you're looking at it and it's actually pushing it out. It almost looks like that after time, it's just gonna start sending the screws out because there's that much pressure behind it. And he feels as though that is not the proper, maybe just a bird screen on that or insect screen, nothing to stop the flow like it is because we're adding that much pressure inside that unit. And it's not expelling as much as it is because it's being restricted.
So to back it up on the other
So it's,
side.
I don't know if it's backing up though. It probably isn't coming out, I don't wanna say it's backing up, it's probably restricting the flow, not necessarily sending it back. But the problem is those other screens that they cleaned today should have been done when the filters were done.
Right.
So I think we really need to know what the service of this, because it should have been done
Right, when we were changing filters.
when we
Yeah.
changed filters and it wasn't
Same
done.
thing with the.
Same thing with the Ethiopia wheel.
Yeah, right.
That should have been done when the filters have changed. So we kinda gotta get those things done before we can blame something else or
Yeah.
even eliminate something
Yeah, I hear you. A lot of this has to deal with maintenance.
with maintenance.
I agree.
I'm not the expert on it, but those intake screens are moisture eliminators. That's what keeps the rain and snow from going in. So I would make sure that they're comfortable with increasing the.
My take was those just have to be cleaned more. My take today was just those have to be cleaned, not to change those, but the exhaust on the other side is something that we should look at and put in the mesh into. Mike, I could be wrong about this, but again, that's what I was talking to him about today. So 2 different items on one over, on this piece, on this side equipment, one on this side equipment.
There are sensors in there that monitor static pressure.
Yeah.
Which should be telling the system when things are not allowing enough air through. So I would imagine that on both sides, the intake, the filter, and the exhaust side, that the static pressure sensors should be saying, hey,
Too much.
static's getting too high, or
Yeah.
whatever the case.
I would think so, and my other thought was too, we go change that balances, that changes the balance of everything. Airflow balance of the whole thing gets changed, so.
And that's information that can get pulled, right, the history of it from the system?
Yeah, if you have to track it, you have to set the system up to
To set
run
a
a
trend.
report on it.
Right, but you can
You can
pull
go up
it.
there right now and just take a snapshot and see what it is. It doesn't, static pressure will not go down unless you clean them. So it always just gets higher and higher. So when you clean it, it will drop. So if you went on the system now, you would be able to see what it is at this moment. You could always run a report and ask to have that included in the report, and that'll track it.
And the other bit of information he gave me today, because I asked him, does this happen a lot? He goes, no, because these are custom made for the strap. Those train units are custom made, so these are things that, there's a few other things that he found that somebody's gonna have to do something about it because it's not meant for the situation. I think this is one of them. That exiting filter, I'll call it, that mesh thing, meets California codes, which they want to clean indoor air before it goes outside. And that's pretty much what it's doing. It's trying to filter the indoor air before it exhausts outside, which, not here.
So it's not necessarily built for the Northeast?
No.
Possibly?
Yeah.
I mean, to be determined, but it's not necessarily designed for
Yeah.
New England.
I think adjustments,
Yeah.
Right.
I think adjustments have gotta be made.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Just switching gears to the athletic fields, construction remains ongoing. On May 1st, Slam had issued a certificate of substantial completion for the varsity baseball on the south multi-purpose field. Aside from the punch list items that were attached to that substantial completion certificate, the only item that remains in that field is the dugouts. It's been challenging for us to get the dugouts installed. We have, set up temporary dugouts for now, obviously not good enough. But I'm hopeful with the softball pads being poured earlier this week that the installation of the dugouts is imminent. I understand wholly, the hardships that this has put on, the committee and, the athletic department, the baseball team, the coaches. As a fully completed field is really what seniors deserve on their day, and, I sit here and I take ownership of that, and, I apologize.
It's a backstop all day?
The softball?
The baseball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yep. Everything on that
And all
field
the
is
fencing
done,
is done?
all the fencing's done,
Not the dugout?
just the dugouts.
What was the holdup?
Different installer,
Different install, yeah.
Oh, and they didn't show up?
did not install.
Scheduled, they didn't come, they're back.
They're coming back?
Yeah, they're supposed to come back next week.
Well, to Mike's point, now that they missed their window to do baseball, they probably were waiting for the softball pads to be
Pads.
To
poured,
do it all together?
so they could do it all at once.
For the varsity baseball or varsity softball field, obviously a lot of progress has been made since the last period, from working our way out of the baseball field, the sidewalks, have been placed surrounding all the softball field limits, most of them, except for when we work our way out. But, excavation, installation of the backstop posts, the mesh fabric, all that's, nearing completion on the backstops. Most of the anchor curb has been already formed and already placed with concrete, except for the section that the heavy trucks gotta go and drop stone and work their way back out. But next week we are looking to start the stone infill, the filter fabric, and all the flat drainage that ties into all the perimeter drainage. And then in addition to that, starting to core all the 4 foot or the fencing on the perimeter of the field. So,
Quick question on the field. I was just wondering why Fuji wasn't represented at this meeting, just because they're the ones that are they're the CM for the field, right?
Well, essentially, almost all the trades fall under their
yeah,
umbrella.
Fuji's a subcontractor through us, but Fuji owns Fuji has field turf underneath them, they have Liberty underneath them, they have Eagle underneath them, they have TC Landscaping underneath them, and part of the whole, grant when it came out was that in order to get the reimbursement, we had to stick with the trades that were already on,
Yes.
the project.
Yeah,
I was just wondering why they weren't represented here.
we didn't invite them.
Wouldn't wanna do that.
No?
They're not good presenters, like. Last item is, the testing of the high school gym floor. Earlier on in May, I think it was May 1st, which was a Friday, I think. We had JJ Curran, who is a subcontractor to our prime flooring contractor, R&B, perform deflection testing, they called it, to test the height and the balance of the floor. I was able to get my hands on a report today. Don't have all of the answers yet. I think most of the testing points that we had worked with Dean and I believe Mike,
Yeah.
we were there testing different spots of the floor. Dean had, pointed out a couple spots of concern. We had pointed out a couple spots of concern. We pointed out a couple good spots just to kind of measure what was going on. And I think there were 12 tests taking and 2 of them fall out of conformance. If you bring one of them back up, which is one area at the keys, closest to the weight room, the basketball key, if you bring that one up to conformance, the average will raise, and that last one will go back into conformance. So we have a little bit of following up to do, but generally that's kind of an update on testing for the floor.
So what does that mean?
Means I gotta set up a meeting with you guys again and talk about it.
with manufacturer and really try to get a plan on how to fix that one area that's like a trampoline, for lack of a better term.
I sent you a video today.
Me?
I don't know if you looked at it.
I didn't get an overview of it.
Yeah, that's how they repair it.
Well, it's,
For that
Yeah.
type of floor.
Basically, you drill a 1-inch hole and,
Shoot it up.
yeah, fill it underneath, and then sometimes it's a little too hard.
Yeah. We'll have to, I wanna loop Connor Sports into a, discussion on what they would, will be willing to accept, and that doesn't ruin any of their warranty too, so.
so we have time to absorb this report and then you're
Yeah.
gonna come to us with a plan on how to
Yeah,
address the area
Mhm.
or areas that we feel need to be addressed.
John, you're on. You have 2 reports there.
Let's see, so, since our last meeting, there's been, 2 of our field reports are up to number 138. We have 13 items that we're tracking. One is on the punch list for the high school, that remains. One is for the middle school, that's on the punch list as well, and then there are 11 items out in the field, that are part of either punch list work or work that's ongoing. There was a field report issued by SLAM regarding the landscaping that Mike referred to earlier. It included a number of observations of deficiencies and then some proposed changes to grass types within the swales. No CES reports or Ganesh reports since the last meeting. There were some material test reports that were received, and they were all for the light duty and heavy duty concrete up by the athletic fields, and there were no deficiencies noted. The startup testing package for the DOAs, the dedicated outdoor air units, was submitted and approved, so those are the 6 units. All that says is that they've installed them and they've completed the installation process. Still has to be, the commissioning process still has to take place, but the installation has been documented and approved. And then IES commissioning, we talked about that, Mike talked about that earlier. There are operational checklists, there are control checklists, and there are device sensor checklists that need to be filled out. And then there are a number of deficiencies or observations that were identified by the commissioning agent that we're going to read about on June 2nd and go through. MJ Daly believes they've addressed a lot of them. It's just a matter of making sure the documents reflect that. So we're going to go through all the checklists to make sure that they check them all off. If they haven't checked them off, they'll have to go out and look at those and go through the process of closing those out. No IEQ or waste management checklist reports, and no construction waste management reports. So,
Thanks, John. The next item I gave you tonight was the AIA document. As always, it's the front page, and then the second page lists all of the purchase orders and who's getting paid what. So just let you know, that totals $1,046,246.62. Have a motion to approve? John, thank you. Second? Doug? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Now we have a second one to add on, which I said, this, on the one that I just gave you, did not include any payment for Fuji. So there was a back and forth with everybody. So here's this one.
Basically, they missed the time.
Yeah, they missed the time. I'll guess that down.
Oh, sure, anything for you.
While you're getting it, this approval is contingent on everybody's signing off. That means Fuji has to sign off on it, and then SLAM has to sign off on it. So nothing gets paid on this document Fucci until the it's signed off on it. We did not hand out the 30 pages back, but this is what O&G and Fucci agreed?
Right.
Yes.
We sat down on Friday, I think, you guys and
Yeah.
Slam as well to review this and see what we all felt would be, you know, appropriate certified payment in the absence of.
He did want more money, but that was not a requirement that Mario and I would give him, so to speak. So if you approve this, it's on contingent, because nobody has signed it. Signed by Fucci and by Slam. Okay? As you know, all of the previous ones that I've given you are signed by the owner, by the contractor and the owner, which is signed. I didn't give you, because I just got the signed copy today.
So when are the other signatures gonna be at?
Which one?
I don't know, explain to me.
On this one,
On this one here with the highlights, you got dark, you
Right,
got
so
a clouded number here. that I'm
Fucci has to
guessing-
sign it, and Slam has to agree to it.
So Dean,
For the committee for.
Fucci wanted $484,000.
Yeah,
That got cut down to 220.
got it.
Fucci didn't respond in a timely fashion, so they ended up getting nothing. So it remains that, they might say we don't want, I can't believe they won't.
I believe they would turn down.
Yeah.
20.
But that's,
They,
What is this exactly for? Any,
their monthly work.
It's for
Just monthly work.
monthly
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah.
so the monthly progress was behind,
Their monthly progress in their eyes was 484,
yeah,
but not in our eyes.
not ours.
So we cut them, and they wanted to protest it. And I don't know the internal system, what's it called?
Texture into our billing software.
Yeah.
At some point, I had to move the bill forward yesterday to not impact the other, 6 trades that were included in this, and I made a decision to, omit them, and, today we had a discussion to see if we can try to include some monies in there, just to try to build some more good faith with them, and just try to make sure that they keep going and finish the fields. That's really what this is about, is trying to finish the fields and keeping them here.
why are they not progressing like they should?
Well,
And
work,
it's no, it is.
work is progressing.
Work
It's the financial aspect of
Yeah.
it is
But
what's
they
gonna-
wanted more than we had told them that,
It's a money thing, it's not a work thing.
no, it's money.
They want more and more,
More
more.
and more. We
But
can
we wanna
tell,
hold it.
you got paid for all of that too.
It's
They
not
say-
necessarily usual either. You get red lines, most trades submit an application for payment and you get red line. But in this case,
Yeah.
the red lines are significant and,
So they say they completed the 484.
Yeah. We said no.
Yes.
They wanted some retainage and all that. We said, no, you only get 220. It's available.
So then the motion would be to,
Contingent, to pay 220,
well, to authorize
right,
you to make payment contingent upon that signing.
signing, quote, everybody, they sign and Slam signs. If they don't sign, they're not getting paid.
And this can't wait for another month because you want to keep the.
Right, keep the flow. So if we, just for instance, if they don't sign it, let's say they sign it, because tomorrow I drop off all the other invoices to the city, and they pay me next Friday. So if he doesn't sign it till next Thursday, he ain't getting paid until a week later. It's not
And then
us.
you'll update us on the next meeting.
Yeah.
as to how that worked out.
But we've been, every time, the city's been paying a week later, as always, so. But I'll tell them tomorrow that this may be coming, but I don't know when. And if it comes, by Wednesday, they may not be able to pay on Friday.
And it's not a matter of any dispute about the work you've done.
No,
It's just
no. They wanted more, and we said no.
And this number, they know this number right now?
They know
You
it.
negotiate this with them?
I didn't negotiate, we sent it
We
to
told
them after we agreed.
They came in
to
at
sign it.
486. We met with them, we went through it, and said they're not getting paid 486.
So why didn't they sign when you met with them?
We didn't, I met with Ed, Mario,
No, we
Slam,
met.
and John as
We
well,
met, no.
to agree on this number, this 220.
This is news from them.
But wait a minute, so Fucci,
You didn't meet with Fucci to agree on this, you met
No,
with.
but it's a traditional billing process. We get an initial pencil from the trades, we send a pencil to Ed Mario and the design team as well, and the owner's rep as well, to see if they have any comments, what what people are looking for. And ultimately, this is, what we had come up with, me and Ed Mario and Slam, to say this is what we feel is appropriate for this period. 260 grand higher, and I don't think that's,
Right,
appropriate.
and Slam won't sign until Fucci signs.
Correct.
Because that's the.
As long as Slam agrees with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they should.
Well, they were on the call, John was on the call, we were
No,
all
I'm
on
just
the
saying
call.
that.
Yeah,
Slam
oh
has
yeah,
to agree with
It's
it.
really up to Fucci to agree to it.
yeah, that's Well, they don't get paid
At all.
at all.
And what, they pull off the job?
Excuse me,
It could happen,
could happen,
I don't know.
but just let you know that the subs, that's why I broke out purchase orders, so we know when the subs are supposed to get paid. And if they don't, they call me, then I call them and says, you gotta pay it, because that's their money. We had an incident with Fucci in the beginning with Liberty. They owed him a couple $100,000, he was paid right away, so Fucci had to pay him right away, because we knew, they called us, they didn't get paid.
So if this goes through and we agree.
Yeah.
You'll notify Fucci tomorrow?
If he signs it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion with them tomorrow and talk about it. So you
We'll
can take it or
sign
leave it.
So it could possibly, could it get in this week, this tomorrow?
Yeah, so I would deliver it on Tuesday. Or I'll have lift, no. Okay, so could I have a motion to approve Fucci's payment of $220,884 contingent on Fucci and Slam signing the AIA document?
I'll move it.
Okay. Second, Casey. Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Thank you. Okay, a couple of 5 PCOs.
So PCO 629 is an owner contingency cost of $10,585. This is for work that was completed last year to bring additional electrical circuitry to the evaporator heaters within the chiller units. 772 is allowance number 9 for 120 journeyman hours for additional labor due to field condition coordination that was needed throughout the project. We exceeded the allowance, so a hit of $3,060 to the CM contingency. 779 is our reoccurring monthly temporary toilet cost for the April period. 780 is a bond adjustment cost and closeout of the miscellaneous metals contractor. Final payment is included in the current application contract closed. 781, another owner contingency cost of $160. This is for the aluminum window contractor's bond adjustment. Again, final payment is included in this application and contract closed after this month.
Can I have a motion to approve the PCOs?
So,
Okay, Almond and Donna. Discussion?
the,
Yeah.
629, that was a design miss?
629 is an interesting one. When we had lost, if you guys remember, we had to install a replacement chiller because over the winter, I believe going from 24 and 25, the
I remember that.
coil had cracked in the chiller. And that is when we had discovered that nobody had powered up the evaporator heaters. And when we went to investigate it, we had worked through the spec with SLAM and CES, and ultimately it wasn't on our power drawings. And there's been further conversations with Train and CES about what would have been possible. Was it always possible to provide these, through the chiller power, or did they just need to be independent, 120 volt circuits from the house power, if you will? So.
Next one, as you always get my payment selection, all the payments. And then the last one is bills, PL Company, $3,465. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Casey. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The next one is Tri-State, $844. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Armand, Doug? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. The last thing is the, as I always do, the project budget summary with the encumbrances, second page, for your notice. We do need to go into executive session for discussion of existing or potential litigation, mediation, arbitration, or administrative proceedings. But before we go, comments for the good of order. Doug?
Thank you for all the information. Thanks for your patience and all the information. I appreciate it.
John?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Donna?
What's that?
Tom?
I'll say thank you.
Good, thank you guys.
Okay.
What's that?
All set.
I do have a couple of things, Ed, if you don't mind.
No, I do mind, but that's okay.
Alice's birthday, you know.
I know. Well, something came up today that I want to kind of investigate. I got asked about the girls' bathrooms in the middle school side. There's only one receptor in the ADA stall in all the bathrooms on the middle school side. High school side, they're in every stall, feminine receptors.
Yeah, we had looked at that, remember that in the fall, we had looked at the drawings and we had put in the ones that we had missed. The high school did call for more of them than the middle school did, and we ultimately said we provided the one in that single stall in the middle school.
Okay, so, I do remember that, but you tell me, so the middle school, they're not gonna be in every stall?
No, they're not, they weren't supposed to be.
My only question on that is code. I'm not sure if that meets the code or not at this point.
Yeah, I remember, I think it's law, is it law?
It is law, as far as receptors go, not the actual products themselves, where they put it afterwards. All right, so because we're finding an issue with only one of them in girls' bathrooms. So, let's investigate that a little bit to see if they should be in each one of these stalls.
Is it something that can be added?
You can always screw them to the wall, you can always put them in.
And how many more stalls are there?
Well, I'd have to count them all, probably 12, 15 for the whole building.
Yeah. The
And
only thing that I see a problem with that is if we do wanna add more, if we did put in what we were supposed to put in, is that I don't have a contract anymore with the general trades contractor. They've absolved as a company and that's who we walk these through. So I wouldn't have that avenue anymore to do that. But let's confirm first if we have the scope right.
Yeah, let's make sure we have the scope, but that's my question right now, make sure that they're not supposed to install. Okay, where did we end up with, I think we asked this question, I think it was in the last minutes, we had that, breaker number 6 that handles, all the outlets in the middle, not all, the middle school gymnasium, locker room, health room, and it's also controlling a heating transformer on the same circuit.
We, if they haven't done it already, I thought he had already got in there one early morning, maybe, I don't know if he could talk to you, Nick, we're running a separate home run for just
Okay,
that
so
BMS, it's
all
gonna
right,
be
so
on
taking off
standalone.
that
Should not have been capped off with a water cooler next to it or any of the outlets that are in those PE offices, you know. So, we are running a separate home run.
Okay, that would solve that problem. The high school drinking fountain, I guess Daly came out, but we haven't had any resolution on it.
There was a leak, correct?
Yes.
But I don't think it got repaired.
You don't
The
think?
unit's not up and running,
That's what I told him. Let me check on that. The one in the high school
the
cafeteria,
one in the
right?
high school cafeteria. The other thing is, we're still every day, and at this point, we have TMS locker room, ADA side, TMS second floor, calf bathroom and lower level toilets that are shut down because of the continual running or lack of, I think it's lack of, I think it's just running, right? Because they continuously run at a certain point and then we have to go and shut them off. They repaired a couple of them, one of them they repaired a couple of times. So, I know we've been through this on both sides. I'm at a loss on which ones we repaired once, twice, 3 times, I don't
Yeah,
have.
we were between all of, I know you're talking about toilets, between, flushometers and sink faucets, we've replaced a lot of them, and we're gonna continue to do that. We own a warranty for 5 years, and, it's the product that we were supposed to put in, and, if it's an inferior product, then we just have to live with it for now, unless there's another way out of it. We could talk to CES, I know you've been talking to Zern, your friend, your rep. Has he said anything to you at all lately, or no?
No, other than giving us some new parts that are, new and improved. So he said that, Mike, so for, it's a 5-year warranty on the whole thing, right? That's labor and stuff, so no matter what happens with these here, a year from now, who am I calling?
The binder that Matt Barber has given you in that electronic file share, there's contact information to reach all these various subcontractors, and they all tie into the warranty. You call MJ Daily at the end of the day. If they're not responsive to you, then that's when we get involved, but really when we leave, when we're done with this job, that binder is your Bible. You're gonna call all these numbers, if you got a leak here, a leak there, if it fits within the warranty, then, they're gonna come out and do it.
Okay,
So the sinks and flushers are 5 years.
I believe the flushometers are 5 years, I'm sure the faucets are, I think it's all plumbing fixtures, that's 5-year manufacturer as well.
5 years.
Yeah.
From,
From date of substantial completion, I believe is what this back wrote. So 5 years from January 4th, whenever they occupied in 2025.
2025, okay.
July of last year for the middle school, and then area H being November 10th, 8th. So you're covered for a long time. I'd love to not have to keep replacing them because it's a problem, but there's a problem.
Hopefully they debug it eventually.
I'm hoping so. That's a problem on the last 3 jobs. It doesn't matter what kind of flushometer, there's always some will continuously run, some won't even flush, the faucets won't stop running, or they don't run at all. It's, it's a common thing with these photo eyes and sensors and stuff. It's just a very technical.
It's all progress.
Yeah.
Something about the feminine products. Connecticut state law states, you must provide in middle school free accessible menstrual products, including tampons and pads, in the girls' restroom. Okay, we knew that. Schools are not mandated to install expensive wall dispensers, but can be provided in disposable generic containers inside the designated bathrooms. I think,
Different, they're separate, disposal,
oh,
not dispensing.
to dispose of,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think
Disposed
it's
of,
required, I
not
think it's recommended.
And it's
but not
inside the
required.
stall, yeah, that
it's
makes
inside
sense.
the ADA stall, so there's only one in there and you've got 4 other stalls in those bathrooms that there's nothing in there.
That makes sense,
and
yeah.
there's none outside.
And there's none
Like
outside,
one-
no,
one
and again, you
for the
don't, you don't
I'm
want
just
it
saying,
outside.
What does it look like? Just like a
It's a
trash can.
Stainless steel,
Looks like a
thing
mailbox.
with
little
thing,
flip
right?
flop,
Yeah.
little flip top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like
a
a metal
mailbox.
mailbox. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I understand.
Yeah, now we do.
They're
I do.
usually,
Yeah.
they're honestly.
I was thinking dispensing.
Me too.
No,
Public restrooms.
we take care of that.
Right, you know?
You gotta, your vendor gives you the thing.
Yeah,
for
we're
it.
also, it's not that we're talking about the mailbox.
Jeez. Wow, right. I wonder the mail, post office isn't in there.
Okay, well,
Okay.
and is attached to the,
You just screw it to the wall,
what?
you just screw it to the wall.
And our supplier doesn't give us those, right? There's no chance.
No, I don't, if it was as simple as that, again,
Yeah, I know.
it's quite a few, but if they own it. If they don't own it, we have to do it, I wanna find out before we go any further with it, who owns it.
Look at it.
Yep.
Okay. So got a motion to go into executive session. All we need is just John and the building committee's one item that you don't have to stay and you don't guys have to stay. John.
Wait for me outside.
Do we need a motion to amend that agenda?
For what?
Pardon? Because it says into executive session for negotiations.
Possible,
Us.
Regarding
yeah.
possible or not regarding negotiations. Going into session.
You guys should do that.
You too, thank you.
Okay. I'll just make a motion to go into executive session with a change from agenda or read possible executive session. Right. Regarding any. Yes, regarding any.
Do you want to leave it on for two people and then come back?
I think I can do that.
Say that again?
I think I can do that.
Okay. It's not gonna take long.
Give me 1 second. Let's just set that up.
What? Okay,
Where we're open.
open session at 6:12. And now what do we do?
The next item.
Oh,
Move on.
move on. We'll have to change the June 18th meeting, that's graduation.
It's, right, is that the high school? Did I get that wrong?
Yeah, no, it is.
It is,
The 18th,
Yeah,
yeah, the high school.
yeah.
Okay.
probably, so I'll change the date, probably the
August.
week after.
And you'll let us know.
Oh, yeah.
September 29th.
Okay,
Vacations, time.
should I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Ellen, second Doug, at 6:13.
Right on.
All in favor?